What's up, and welcome back to Nowstalgia Pod, your weekly look at what's going on in pop culture. My name is Pat Sheehan. I am here with a man that struck out for the 5th time in a game for the 2nd time all season. Dave Marston, what's going on, man?
Platinum sombrero, dog, wearing it proud.
Yeah, I would take a platinum sombrero if I got to have Giancarlo Stanton on my team any day. We have a lot to talk about, though, so we're not going to spend too much time at the top. But before we jump into it, if you are listening to this and enjoy what you hear, please subscribe somewhere down below. Go to iTunes, subscribe, leave a rating and review there as well. And help us out. Share us with friends, family, spread the word, and follow us on Twitter at NowstalgiaPod, where we give you content that we don't talk about on our podcast. So there's a lot of news to kind of sink into. Initially, I just wanted to get your thoughts on the new Solo trailer. Anything that stood out to you in that?
Yeah, I didn't tweet about it at Martin Swagger, but
stay plugging.
The more I watched, I only watched it once. The more I thought about it, I was like, I definitely was more in on Alan Ehrenreich in the second trailer. Not gonna lie. And the set pieces and the settings, like I said earlier, looks like original trilogy era. Looks pretty good. And yeah, Disney, Lucasfilm is not releasing a dud. So I'm kind of excited.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited. And also the fact that they're dropping it at Cannes means that, at least to me, means that they think that they got something that's worth showing. Because they wouldn't...
Con, you normie? Come on.
Con, right. I mean, whatever. I'll be Cannes for life, dog. Con, whatever. And until they start putting us in like the press row there, I'm going to disrespect them.
That'd be the day.
So Solo movie we're in on. I'm wondering, our guy Steven Spielberg, so he's been doing a lot of press recently. We talked about Ready Player One on last week's podcast. Find that at soundcloud.com/nostalgiapod. He teased a potential future Indiana Jones movie with a female lead. Now, the interesting thing about the quote was he said we'd have to name her Indiana Joan, which I don't think he understands how names work. But outside of that, how do you feel about a female lead for Indiana Jones?
Well, yeah, so, I mean, he is going forward with Harrison Ford for Indy 5, which is probably, I think they're setting shooting early next year, I believe was the plan. I think we might have sent a tweet from the pod account about it, but after that, I mean, you obviously know Harrison Ford will be done after that if Indy even survives it, similar to returning to Han Solo for Force Awakens. It's kind of been his vibe, and Deckard and Blade Runner, same thing. He'll return to his, 1970s, 1980s folklore characters if they die. But if Indiana Jones was to be a new franchise, I don't know if it's a guarantee, just because there's only been 4 of them, one of which was bad. So for Indy 6 to do a reboot, I don't know, like would be traversing into like Terminator territory or Alien territory where it's getting a little long in the tooth. I don't know, but the idea to switch it up with somebody else, because I think the sentiment of having like a Tom Holland or a Chris Pratt just become Indiana Jones and reboot it traditionally, I think that's kind of passed over. No one's really that excited about that idea anymore.
Yep.
So to have a woman in the lead would be cool. I think some obvious names thrown out there right now. Someone who's really hot, Tessa Thompson. I mean, Gina Rodriguez, sure. And Shout Annihilation. But someone who I actually kind of noticed when I was reading some pieces about it was Karen Gillan. She plays Nebula in Marvel, her most notable role, but she was in Doctor Who, probably most famously. I don't know. I could just definitely see her in the role, and I thought she was hilarious in Jumanji, so I think she has the charisma. So yeah, that's my pick. A little off the radar.
Yeah, I mean, initially, I hear Indiana Jones, a female lead. I think the Queen, Vikander, but her being Tomb Raider, kind of.
Yeah, it's done.
Yeah, it's done. So, I mean, Tessa Thompson seems like a really easy role. I mean, I would love Lupita Nyong'o to get way more roles. Lupita Nyong'o. Sorry, I just switched her first and last name. But who was the person that was in the show? Being very vague here. Her name is Carrie something. She was in the
Carey Mulligan
series. Carey Mulligan. Yes.
Collateral.
I feel like
great show.
Yeah, I feel like she could play a pretty good Indiana Jones because the way that she was on that show, but also then kind of mixing in her role from The Great Gatsby. I think that she can kind of play the charming side, but also like the serious adventurer side of,
right.
of
And you always forget Indy was is a professor, Dr. Jones,
Right.
So that's like a bookish academic side to the role. So yeah, I think that's a good call as well. But yeah, I mean, it was just kind of a offhand comment in an interview. It's not like it's even being considered at this point, but I thought it was interesting to think about.
Yeah, something that's also interesting to think about is your guy Jeff Bezos dropping $1 billion for this Lord of the Rings show, dude. I mean, there was already a lot of buzz. He said that he wants to make this Game of Thrones level epic TV show that everybody has to watch, but saying that you're going to put a budget of $1 billion into this, it puts the pressure on for sure, because this thing cannot miss.
Exactly.
I'm a little worried about it actually now, because while we talked about Lord of the Rings, we're not sure how much people are clamoring for more Lord of the Rings material. I mean, it's obviously a very popular IP. I don't know if announcing the budget for this is good or bad. What do you think?
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, how many people are even gonna remember that or even heard it in the first place by the time the show comes out? It's
if this thing flops, everybody's gonna remember that.
Oh, of course. But I don't think, I mean, even if the show's at its worst and it has like, mediocre characters and a weird plot, it's still going to look amazing and have like Westworld vibes, where the production values are so high that it brings people in anyway. Sure. But yeah, like you said, because they're spending this much money, it has to be Game of Thrones level zeitgeist grabbing. That's what they're investing in it to be. But honestly, the fact that they're going all in, they're not going to cut any corners with it, kind of makes sense, because, Middle Earth on TV could easily look shitty.
Yeah.
And if you over rely on CGI, you get some of the worst parts of the Hobbit trilogy. I'm higher on the Hobbit movies than most people, but I mean, there's some, garish CGI in there. So you have to really commit. And, Amazon, this is their thing, because, I mean, they canceled some of their smaller shows, like One Mississippi, and they just canceled Mozart in the Jungle after 4 seasons. And there was that Reuters report about how they evaluate shows in terms of the cost per stream, and in terms of how they evaluate the premiere episode, stuff like that. But they haven't had any huge hits. I mean, man, the High Castle, it wasn't as big as I thought it would be getting a 3rd season. I mean, they're kind of in the Hulu boat where they're still looking for more. Hulu really just has Handmaid's Tale. So this is definitely a play that, I mean, this show's going to stand out. This show will have the eyeballs, and now they just need to, get it done. But I'm kind of excited to see what they can do, because they're not going to cut any corners.
Yes, I think that's a good point. Definitely will be something we're monitoring, especially if it's going to be a show of this magnitude. We'll be talking about it. So definitely subscribe and follow us on our Nowstalgia Pod Twitter account. We're going to talk about Cardi B here in a second. But before we do, last year around this time, Drake released More Life. I believe it was the end of March. Beginning of April, 1 week later, Kendrick Lamar drops Damn, his critically acclaimed album, a lot of buzz, kind of taking away the life of More Life, so to speak, because Kendrick's like, oh, well, Drake dropped a project, here's mine, everybody talk about this now. Your girl Cardi B had like, I don't know, half a day, and then Drake's like, oh, here's a heater of a song, nice for what? Oh, and here's a fucking flex of a music video. Poor Cardi, first of all, that sucks. But this Drake song, I mean, I kind of out of nowhere, but what did you think?
Yeah, it wasn't 1 week for Kendrick either. It was like 3 weeks, but
was it really? Felt
yeah, it was like March 18th and like April 14th or something like that. But anyway, point still stands. But yeah, I mean, Friday, actually, like last Wednesday through Friday night when Drake released a single, was a fucking banner run for music releases, just new stuff. Whether it was like new Lucy's, like a new A$AP Rocky single, a new Amine single, a new Denzel Curry song, a new Rich Brian song, all those albums, a few of which we'll get to. And then Drake kind of caps it all off when he had announced it the night before our show that he's releasing the single. And sure enough, he did with the video. And I mean, with God's Plan and Nice for What, you just kind of see the tactician that Drake is as the king of the pop world, and it's like, yeah, can you see the strings behind these plays? Of course.
Yep.
bringing them up only makes you look bad
Mhm.
because the songs still slap and
Yep.
like they're good and people enjoy them and they make people happy. So I don't know what the point is. He's doing what a pop star does, you know?
Yeah.
Um, and the nice for what, yeah, I mean, a very tasteful Lauryn Hill sample
Mhm.
for sure. And then, yeah, like you said, the biggest flex is getting all these um, stud women, many of which are very in demand right now, like Tiffany Haddish and Letitia Wright, getting those women into the video, especially during the Me Too movement, having a song that's lyrically just about empowering women.
Mhm.
It's a home run. And I mean, God's Plan is well on its way to being the biggest song of Drake's career. And I don't know if Nice for What will immediately become the new number one, but you know, Cardi must be pissed that there's a brand new song ready to compete with her on the charts.
Gotta be. Yeah, Drake is just masterful at this point. Whatever you think of him, I've definitely taken my shots at Drake on these airwaves in the past, but he knows what he's doing. He's not messing around. And yeah, I wonder if this song, especially with the music video, will become something that, along with like the Me Too movement, will become something that like feminists kind of latch on to and point to. We'll see. I mean, people that are saying that Drake is really empowering to women maybe haven't listened to his whole discography and the way he talks about women in the past, but this is definitely like a positive move forward. So good for Drake, bad for Cardi B, although she did steal some of the spotlight back the next night on SNL
Right.
when she performed her song Be Careful and kind of put to bed all the rumors that she is in fact pregnant, I'm presuming with Offset's baby.
Who?
I don't know if
Who?
that's confirmed.
I think
But
it
yeah,
is. Yeah.
Cardi B broke out last year with Bodak Yellow, a song that was on both of our top 10 lists for the year. Invasion of Privacy, dog. What'd you think? Is this a good album, a bad album? What are we talking here?
Yeah. And I mean, even though Drake stole her thunder, she's still gonna have the number one album
Yep.
for the next week. And yeah, no, I think it's very good. I don't think it's amazing,
No.
but it's better than I expected. Atlantic Records is fucking invested as hell in Cardi B as like their biggest success of all the new signees that they gobble up as soon as they get a buzz. But they weren't gonna let this album be bad.
Yeah.
Some people were like, be careful, A&R failure. She shouldn't have sung the hook. But when you listen to the full album, you do see that no, they kind of stuck to what Cardi does best. There's a lot of aggressive rapping. It's kind of her brand. It's kind of what made her stand out with Bodak Yellow. But she also dips her toe in some other crossovery stuff, which she had already kind of been hinting at.
Yep.
The Finesse remix, that's still kind of rapping, but it's not the style you'd come to expect from her.
Mm-hmm.
And then she has that feature on the Ozuna song La Modelo where she sings. So she was kind of teasing the fact that she's not going to pigeonhole herself as strictly a rapper, And, if you listen to a song like I Like It on the new album, you'll see that she's open to doing other things. But I think overall, it kind of has a lot of everything. I mean, I thought Bickenhead was just, the spiritual successor to Bodak Yellow, I guess, in terms of the aggressiveness. And then, it closes out really strong with I Do, great SZA feature. I think there's a lot of songs to go back to on this, no doubt. What did you think?
Yeah, I mean, the two songs you picked out weren't even two of the ones that were probably my favorites. I really enjoyed Best Life. It's kind of hard to be on a song with Chance and not have him body you, but I think she definitely won the song by far. And then something like Through the Phone kind of showed range, especially in what Cardi's talking about. I mean, it wasn't all just braggadocio. She went vulnerable. I mean, Be Careful kind of hinted at that, but then Through the Phone pretty much openly talked about the controversy with Offset having a video of a woman on his phone. Yeah, I thought that this album was, like you said, good. I wouldn't say fantastic, but for someone who was an Instagram star, like 2 years ago, to going and making a full length album, Cardi could have done a lot worse. So I gotta give her major props. She's definitely, I mean, do you think she's the best female rapper out there right now?
No, I still have to defer to Nicki just because Nicki has more material, more skin in the game. Nicki Minaj has been the top rapper for fucking 7 years, and Nicki Minaj can flat out rap too, just because she does crossover songs doesn't, negate that. That being said, Cardi is definitely hotter right now. We expect Nicki album's expected this year. I mean, the Pink Print came out in late 2015, so it's been a while, especially for someone as famous and as hot as Nicki is. But yeah, I mean, Cardi. That's the thing. I push back on a lot of hyperbolic stuff with Cardi B. I mean, it's great. It's great to talk about how great she is and how influential she is, empowering women, etc. But to say that she's like the hottest thing in rap, I just think it's disingenuous. And the fact, like, I had a friend who made a well done video about how like Cardi is like the only one left in the mainstream that's truly like doing like the act of rapping full stop, reminiscent of Bodak. But I'm like, A, no, she has the crossover stuff already, and B, just because Kendrick made Love doesn't negates everything else he's ever done. Like, come on. Like, I thought there's some hot takey stuff going around that I don't agree with, but Cardi B is not a fluke for sure, and 15 seconds are long up, as she said on the album. She's gonna be around a long time, and she's open to trying stuff, and she's such an open book as a fucking celebrity that I think everyone's gonna have a lot of time for her still.
Yeah, and I think the hyperbole comes from just how exciting she is as an artist right now. She really just like dropped on the scene like fire flames, and being a female rapper who actually is impressive and has the ability that she has, and showing the range that she did in this album, and the way she's able to experiment with things and try things. I think there's a lot to be really excited for with Cardi. But yeah, I would agree. I think Nicki still has the belt for female rappers, but overall, I mean, there's only good things going on for female rappers right now, I would say.
Yeah, and I mean, should have mentioned that there's the allegations of Cardi having ghostwriters or just paying writers, and that's fine. Sure. Anyone who thought Cardi B was doing all of this by herself, I think, needs to get their head out of their ass. Like, wasn't surprised to hear any of that,
Right.
And it's also not a problem, but like the thing that Cardi B is this like amazing fucking auteur, I don't think, why would you ever think that in the first place? She has a great team around her, and there's nothing wrong with that anyway. But just like, again, keep it in perspective.
I agree. Yeah, so something I felt kind of hard to keep into perspective in a sense, because they only have one other album out. You guys, Flatbush Zombies. This Vacation in Hell was a trip, to say the least. So they're probably one of the more popular like people of East Coast hip hop right now, would you say?
Yeah, sure. In terms of like New York rappers that actually rap, yeah, I'd agree.
Yeah, and so their first album, 2016's 3001, A Laced Odyssey. What was your take on that? Did we review that for the pod?
Yeah, that came out like maybe 3 weeks into the podcast or something like that. No, that was it was good. It wasn't quite as amazing as some of their mixtape material, but it was good. There's some good songs like Ascension and Bounce and stuff that play great live. I mean, Flatbush Zombies are interesting. They've been around a while because they really broke out. They were featured on the song Bath Salt, which was a song on the debut ASAP Mob mixtape Lords Never Worry. So they kind of busted on the scene in like 2012.
Damn.
Their first mixtape that year, Drugs Deep, with all dots on the letters. They had Thug Waffle and Face Off, do really big hot songs on the internet. And then they really grew from there with another mixtape. They did some work with the Underachievers. And then the debut album, like you said. I saw them last fall at the Meadows Live for the first time, and definitely bring the energy. But Vacation in Hell, this sophomore album, it kind of reminded me of a artist we mentioned last week, The Weeknd. SoundCloud Nostalgia Pod. Check out a review of my Dear Melancholy. But the reason I was thinking of it was Vacation in Hell reminded me of Starboy, where it's a long album, too long for its own good, but a lot of great stuff on there. But more importantly, they're trying a lot of stuff on this album, just like The Weeknd was doing on Starboy. And I think they've definitely introduced at times a more commercial sound on this. I think they're, like Joey Badass was, open to getting a little bigger, getting a little more mainstream, which I don't, which is fine, because at the end of the day, they still bring the bars, they still bring the ideas. But yeah, I really like this, and there's a lot of good songs on here.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. It's hard to kind of, I think, describe the album because, like you said, they try a lot of things. But uh, I gotta say, like the first like 3 or 4 songs, they have like a couple of Kanye like riffs on it, or like clear homages. I think they even steal parts from like Jesus Walks and
Mm-hmm.
like I forgot what the other one was. But it just really caught my ear, and I think that if I were to go back and listen even closer, they'd probably have like steal or use other elements from other famous rappers, because I think they're, like you said, trying to become a little bit more commercial, while also they have infectious flow. Like they all are really talented lyrically and just in the way that they deliver their lines. The cover art for this album, so ridiculous,
Yeah.
but every time I see it, makes me laugh. And they just seem like really interesting artists right now.
Yeah, no, they definitely are. And to that point, like Michi Darko, he's the one with the the deepest, darkest voice.
Yeah.
And then Eric Ark Elliott, he's kind of in the middle. He also is a producer. He produced like 100% of the early mixtapes too. Like he's really talented. And then Zombie Juice, he's the guy. He sung some of the hooks this time around, more of a lighter, faster flow, like a Bone Thugs guy.
Mm-hmm.
He actually was someone who was not very good in the early days of Flatbush Zombie. Most people were like, yo, you guys got to fucking drop Juice. Like he's no good. And he's come a really long way. I'm actually really happy for him because it's good to see. But the chemistry they have as people that, boys that have been together a long time, but also they're all different on the mic. I guess you could say they're kind of like Migos in that regard, where they all bring a different thing to the table. Really helps them. And, I mentioned Consciousness. Listen to one of the deeper cuts on the album, Best American. Definitely would have felt at home on Joey Badass's last album in terms of commenting on contemporary issues. And then they can just bring you a banger like Headstone, the lead single, which is on a Spotify playlist. Headstone, the second verse that Zombie Juice has, where he just rhymes everything together, all these references to Biggie and Juvenile and Immoral Technique and Wu-Tang and all this 90s era hip hop, just this ultimate homage verse. And I think it's probably my favorite verse of the year so far still, just because it's so impressive how well he put it all together. But yeah, I mean, a lot of songs really like Your Real Girls with Bun B, I thought was awesome. You and I, second single is good. Crown, Hell O, Facts, I thought was awesome. They kind of performed that as a flex freestyle before. With the Migos ad lib Facts, as they keep taking the pause, but a lot there. And then Vacation, I think, is fine. That's the one Joey's on. It's okay. I really like the last song though with Denzel Curry. I thought Denzel brought that.
Yeah, Denzel was great, but I think the feature that stands out most to me, Portugal the Man, dog.
Mm-hmm.
That song, I loved it. I really found it to be an enjoyable listen.
And that speaks to them branching out into more sounds.
But to do it in a way that you still make a quality song, like very easy to make shit when you're trying to put Portugal the Man and Flatbush Zombies together.
Yeah, and also got a shout out. They did it's called Vacation, the mini movie, where they kind of perform Vacation as well as some other songs on, it's like a long music video, but it has appearances from Lin-Manuel Miranda, Ice-T, and John Leguizamo. I thought that was very funny.
That's pretty awesome. Definitely check that out. Why don't we move on to your guy Saba? So Saba, a Chicago rapper, he was on the chant song Angels, right? That was him?
Correct, as well as Everybody's Something on Acid Rap.
Right. He dropped a project same year that Flatbush Zombies did, 2016, Bucket List project.
Mm-hmm.
So this is his second album. And I thought that, going from an album like Flatbush Zombies, which was very, kind of all over the place, this seemed like a very focused album, and seemed like he had some very precise topics he wanted to hit on. And he also, almost in a way, like kind of reminded me of Bishop Nehru in terms of like his songwriting ability. It seems like lyrically he was strong. What stood out to you about Care For Me?
Yeah, I think you definitely nailed it. He's an artist that's very confident in what he brings to the table. And, I think that's just embodied throughout the whole project is pretty consistent in terms of the sound. And I mean, the lead single Life stands out to me. That's probably one of the better songs on there. But I mean, yeah, it's just exciting to see all these Chicago dudes step out of Chance's shadow and have their own little lane. I mean, ever since Coloring Book in 2016, you've had Saba and Smino, and Vic and Joey Perp and Tokyo, who we reviewed earlier this year, and now Saba. Almost a forgotten man in that like Save Money crew, but I think he's cool because he's not just like Smino's kind of criticized on Black Swan last year for being a little like Chance Light, and you know what that means in terms of being like a melodic, high pitched rapper, nasally guy. But I think Saba, he definitely is. There's more singing in there, but he also really goes about his bars, and I think he does have some good lyrics.
Yeah, and at times, especially like the second half of the album, it turned a lot more jazzy, almost in a like untitled and mastered way in places. So I definitely appreciated that. He seems like I don't know if I could see him being like huge, but I could see him having some solid albums here or there and being an underappreciated artist throughout his career.
Yeah, definitely. I also like Smile and Calligraphy and Log Out.
I actually really liked Prom King. It's a long song, but I thought the way it kind of changes up and his flow in it just is really good. So let me move on though to the Leto brothers' favorite project, 30 Seconds to Mars. So Joker singing to us, very anthemic type album. 30 Seconds to Mars has been around since I believe 2005, 2002.
Yep.
2002 with their self-titled album. And now this is their fifth album, America, which interesting that they put all the names of the band members on the front. Obviously trying to make some sort of statement about I don't know, diversity, I'm guessing. With
it became a bit of a meme. I don't know if you saw it.
I didn't.
There was one where it said doggy and missionary and like all these sex positions. That was hilarious. I was like, "That's a real thing." At first, it looked really good.
Yeah, so Jared Leto's an interesting guy. I mean, we've talked about him, playing the Joker. Just he was the villain in Blade Runner 2049. This is where he got big, right? I mean, he was in Requiem for a Dream, which I think was his breakout acting role, if I'm remembering correctly. He was in
American Psycho.
American Psycho, then being Dallas Buyers Club, and he did a lot of acting for a while. This 30 Seconds to Mars kind of took a back seat. 30 Seconds to Mars,
kind of like Timberlake. Jumps around between his talents.
Definitely. And 30 Seconds to Mars had probably The Kill, their most famous song from the past, their second album. You hate that song?
I didn't even listen to this record, dude. I don't like 30 Seconds to Mars at all.
Well, it was, so I wasn't really expecting much. I'm not a huge 30 Seconds to Mars head, but I've definitely checked out their more popular stuff. This album kind of formulaic from song to song. Like it's very just like it builds up towards something big every time, and then there's like that big change up or that big drop, and you kind of move towards something bigger. And they have A$AP Rocky, they have Halsey on this, just kind of the people you'd expect. But overall, I mean, I don't know if there's anything major. It's solid, but it's not anything to write home about.
So my question is, does it sound like a 30 Seconds to Mars record? Like it makes sense as their like fifth album? Or is it more like how like Fall Out Boy came back recently and just sounds like a totally different band?
I think the only thing I noticed in terms of like my experience with 30 Seconds to Mars, which again isn't super deep, is they're talking about different stuff than I remember from the past. Like The Kill is very like it's a song about like breakups and relationships and just like dealing with loss.
It's a 2000s rock song. That's what it's about.
Exactly. But now they're talking about I don't know, like they're obviously talking about a song like it's like America. I'm trying to think of the best way to kind of sum this up. Just like more stuff like living life and being open to each other. I can't really pick
less emo-y this time.
Yeah, I would say that. And I don't know. Again, it's not anything where I would say run to check this record out. You need to hear it. But if you got 40 minutes, throw it on. You'll probably enjoy a couple of songs and kind of find the rest to be mundane.
Sure.
But something that's not mundane at all. The return of Legion, the weirdest show on TV.
Fuck yeah.
So obviously brought to you by our guy Noah Hawley. the showrunner for Fargo, director, writer, the TV show Fargo, I should say. Dan Stevens back playing David, and David Haller with his girl Sid and the rest of the crew. So Legion season 1, which we talked extensively about last year, check that out, soundcloud.com/nostalgiapod, ended with the Shadow King, played by Aubrey Plaza, finding a new person, and David being sucked into an orb. And you kind of pick up with some serious advancement where, like the crew of mutants, because this is an X-Men IP, have kind of created their own sect of the government, or this government agency, and they're led by this guy with a basket on his head and who has 3 robot women with mustaches that speak for him.
Modulated voices.
Yeah, definitely weird. This episode pretty much just was setting up the rest of the season, obviously, because there was a lot of plot development. It seems like the plot's gonna go in a lot of different directions, especially deviating from last season. But what was your favorite moment from this episode? I kind of want to start there.
Oh yeah, no, like you said, like the season 1 is either famous or notorious for taking the plot and just pinning it to the ground and burying it in concrete at times, and for most people like me and you, that's great. We're watching the show for the creativity and the cinematography and the writing and the acting.
We're not something different.
Like, it's great TV that's X-Men adjacent. It's not just great superhero TV, and seeing this season 2 premiere, kind of brings that home. And like you said, I mean, they have just a conversation at the lunch table, and they give you some exposition about Division 3 and how, like, the X-Men crew, Gene Smart's crew, joined up with them. I was like, oh yeah, you know what? Sometimes you just gotta have 2 people talk to explain some things, especially in episode 1. Good idea. But yeah, I mean, the dude with the bag on his head, like you said, I mean, fucking serious David Lynch vibes. Just, what the fuck is happening? Will I even understand this ever? Does anyone know? But it's cool, and I like it. definitely Lynchian. Also, that dance battle at the end, was awesome. I think, the symbolism, you can try to talk yourself into a meaning whatever you need to mean, but God, that was fucking great.
I was trying to think, like, how many other shows on TV could have something like this and it just kind of fits. I don't think there's another one.
Just Twin Peaks.
Twin Peaks. Perfect example. But yeah, I was trying to, because Teddy Perkins this week, which is an awesome episode of Atlanta.
It's a great week last week, dude.
Oh, dude. Legion on Wednesday, and then this on Teddy Perkins on Thursday. It was unbelievable for FX. But that's also a strange episode. I mean, you have Donald Glover playing a white guy who's, I don't know, serious Get Out vibes.
Eccentric as fuck.
Yeah, and FX is pretty much just like, you want to do weird, you want to get nuts, let's get nuts. For some reason, they don't want Deadpool to get nuts, but other than that, they're down with letting their showrunners do what they want. Any predictions for the season, or anything that you're hoping to see?
I mean, I saw this float around. It makes sense. It totally could be wrong, though. That scene where Sid starts talking to him with, like, those, like, what, like,
glow
birds,
things,
and glow things in the air, whatever. Sid looked different there, and she had the locket that he gave her earlier, so that's introducing time travel, perhaps. The problem with being too predictive on this show is that sometimes the narrative is told very subjectively, because David is an unreliable narrator. The show starts out with him just thinking he's schizophrenic. He just assumes he's mentally unstable, and then you learn he's actually a really powerful mutant. So it's tough to really know what you're seeing if it's supposed to be taken literally, but there is that possibility that, Sid came back. Maybe Sid was the one who put him in that orb thing, like, from the future. Who fucking knows, dude? He thought he was gone a day. They said he was gone a year. So a lot of gaps to fill.
I think I'm just hoping, because it seems like they're setting it up where David is going to be trying to help the Shadow King find his body, which means that in some respect, we're going to be rooting for Aubrey Plaza, hopefully. And I'll take all of that. Just give me all the Aubrey Plaza stock in this show. Yeah, after that Baroque scene last year,
Oh yeah,
I just want to see her like do her thing. She's fucking great.
no doubt. Yeah, the best thing she's ever done by far, and it's definitely one of her lower profile roles, unfortunately. I also thought that when he went into that like cocoon thing with the water to like channel his powers, I was like, oh, that's cool. That's kind of like Cerebro in the X-Men movies. You know, that's kind of Professor X's helmet that enhances his telepathy. But then because there's water and it's kind of like the Lazarus pits in Arrow, where like they sit down and heal. So it's like a weird melding of superhero devices. Interesting. Yeah, sure. I thought the kettle motif from the episode was cool. I'm not sure what it means, but it was making me think.
Yeah, the show just looks really great too. It's shot beautifully. Just really jumps off the screen. Go ahead.
Yeah, you'll notice like the costumes don't really fit to any one era. You know, there's like 60s fashion and 80s stuff. You don't really know exactly when the show's taking place, except for when they tell you. So I think that, I mean, there's so much tender thought and care into this show, and in terms of like surrealness, it was probably just matched by Atlanta, despite how different the two shows are.
Yeah, oh, totally agree. And Atlanta, I mean, we say it every week, but still, I think the best show on TV. Just Donald Glover is fucking master, like unbelievable. Something that also has been very critically acclaimed is the movie Death of Stalin. So Armando Iannucci, the executive producer, director, writer for Veep, delivers this basically Veep, but for Russia in the 1950s. So following obviously the death of Stalin, kind of tells the story of the political plays to gain control of power in Russia. And it has 95% Rotten Tomatoes, 89% or 89 out of 100 on Metacritic. And it was released in the US on March 9th. Premiered, I think it's the Toronto Film Festival.
Yeah, like September or something.
Yeah, around there. So this is a movie you told me to go watch. So tell me why you enjoyed this movie.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's good political satire, something you don't get often. But it's just a dark comedy. You know, it's like how like I, Tonya kind of got criticized for making light of dark stuff. Well, those people should watch Death of Stalin, because this is making you laugh at all the fucking genocides that fucking Stalin committed in the Soviet Union. Like, a lot of people die in this, and a lot of it's played for laughs. And you don't know if you should be laughing, but it's funny. And the dialogue is fucking absurd in terms of, it's like Sorkin-esque. It's so fast. I'm sure it's a lot like Veep. And then another funny thing I thought was pretty cool is like, nah, we don't need Russian accents here. Jason Isaacs, he can sound like Yorkshire. Steve Buscemi, he can sound like Brooklyn. It's cool. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, they just kind of let them do whatever in terms of like vocal. But yeah, the writing reminded me a lot like Veep, and also just in the way that the jokes were delivered. I mean, like you said, it's a serious topic, but I found myself like laughing out loud when no one else in the theater was, because I think it is the type of movie where people are like, "Huh, this is a really sensitive subject in a lot of ways," but that was really well written and really clever.
Yeah, I mean, it starts off really early on too, where all of the members of Stalin's inner circle, I forget what they actually called it, but like, you know, Khrushchev is in there. Obviously, he eventually becomes the successor, as everyone knows. But he's like, yeah, he didn't laugh at that one. Then his wife's like, all right, no more X jokes. Like, they're making it's a hilarious moment about what things you should talk about in Stalin's present, because if you fuck up, he's gonna kill you. Like, it's not actually that funny, but the way they do it's hilarious.
It is.
I mean, the whole relationship that Khrushchev has with Bernia, who obviously he kind of becomes the antagonist. It's funny because
Barius.
Well, yeah, how do you say his name?
Barius.
Barry, isn't it like
Berias? Barius.
Yeah, and I feel like those two actors could have actually flipped it, you know, because Buscemi doesn't really look like Khrushchev. Khrushchev was more like a fuller man, not like a really skinny dude. But I thought it was great.
Definitely.
Full stop. Like, it's funny. Go see it. No. It's my favorite movie of the year.
Buscemi, I mean, he's a world-class actor, and you know, in a lot of great things, but this is probably the best thing I've seen him in, I don't know, long time.
Boardwalk Empire, I guess.
Yeah, but I think even like the later seasons of that, kind of like he's kind of like, yeah, I'm kind of overplaying this, but yeah, I mean, Buscemi was great. I also thought Rupert Friend as Vasily Stalin was just
Yep.
freaking hilarious.
Absolutely.
Like
he checked the whole time. It was great.
yeah, like when he was writing the speech. Even before that, the scene where he was like saying like they're feeding him Russian lies, and meanwhile like Stalin's been dead for like days, and he still thinks that like they're putting American lies into his head. I was just like, this guy's so ridiculous. It's hilarious.
Yeah, and the whole thing, like when Stalin actually like has like the heart attack or whatever, and is like incapacitated but not yet dead, like the whole council is like, all right, what should we do? Should we get him help? Well, I don't know. Let's think about that. Like it's this whole delayed thing about he doesn't get help for like the next 10 hours. You know?
And every time like they go down to like weep by his side, they kneel down and because he pissed himself.
And a great recurring bit. Oh, man.
Yeah, it was really well written and just like so clever. Iannucci is really really good at that. I kind of wonder, when we get to the end of the year, where this will fall for people. Like if you had to take a guess right now, do you think this will be like top 20, top 30 movie for you?
Well, it's one right now, and
it's number one right now. Wow,
I've seen like 15 movies this year.
What about Wakanda Forever, dog?
Yeah, I have that, Black Panther and Annihilation after it. No, I think I think it's going to be up there. I think it'll be up there for a lot of people in terms of like total critic lists. Again, it's tough conventional wisdom would tell you it's tough for early movies to resonate, but Get Out recently happened, so tough to say that now.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird because this was made by IFC, which is not really much of a film distributor. I mean, this is going to be their second biggest box office hit after Boyhood, and Death of Stalin's only going to make like 12 million. Like it's very small. It's in like the niche market. Didn't get a huge release or anything, but it's such a huge success for them. It's kind of funny. So I'm not sure how many eyeballs will be on this movie, especially because it was technically last festival season.
Yeah, I think if nothing else, this will get a rating, at least nomination end of the year, which will I think draw a lot of eyes to it around December. One other person I just wanted to shout out, Olga Kurylenko. I don't know if I was like looking at her IMDb. She was in Quantum of Solace, which is probably where
who did she play?
She was the pianist.
Oh, right.
The one who gives them the note that leads to the heart attack, I suppose. But I thought she jumped off the screen, and I don't understand why she isn't like in more things and a bigger movie star, because not only is she gorgeous, but she just was fantastic in every scene. Definitely a lot of people with heat checks in this movie. So
Andrea Riseborough was really good as Stalin's daughter.
Yep.
Jason Isaac comes in throwing fucking heaters in the third act. God. Like it's great.
Jason Isaac was great, and we didn't even mention Jeffrey Tambor.
Perfectly cast.
Perfectly cast. Like that role was made for him. So definitely check out Death of Stalin. Highly rated here. Highly recommended by Nowstalgia Pod. Any last thoughts for the week, Dave?
Yeah, I will should mention Jeffrey Tambor was kind of taking off a lot of the marketing material because he shot this role before the obviously allegations came out around Transparent. So it's an ensemble movie, so it's not like you're directly supporting Jeffrey Tambor if you see the movie. So I wouldn't let that deter you, but they did kind of bow away from that regardless. Thoughts. Let's see. So you saw the Paterno movie with Al Pacino on HBO that came out. Was it over the weekend?
I think Friday. Yeah.
So we'll talk about that next week, hopefully. The Andre the Giant documentary from HBO and the Bill Simmons Media Group comes out on Wednesday. The reviews do say that it's very good even for non-wrestling fans. Neither you nor I are wrestling fans, but we're pretty into it. And then Friday we have Tinashe's debut album, or sophomore album, whatever it is, Joyride. She's been in label hell for so long, and she's really been struggling to get their career like started again. Now she's dating Ben Simmons. and she's released some hot songs. So I'm excited to finally see what actually comes of this album. And on the TV front, the Lost in Space reboot comes out on Netflix. So it's supposed to have really good production value. So maybe I'll check that out at some point.
Ben Simmons, The Fresh Prince. Did you see that Kylie Minogue? Minogue? I don't know how you say her last name. Dropped an album?
Yeah, I did see that.
What's your favorite Kylie Minogue song?
No idea.
One?
No, I've listened to one of her newer songs recently because it was being compared to fucking Casey Musgraves, but I'm not familiar with the discography.
Interesting. Well, you know, she had like those hits back in the day, like "Can't Get You Out of My Head."
Right.
That's just fire. Yeah, that's probably the best one. But yeah, I might check that one out and report back. We'll see. Kylie Minogue is an interesting artist to me.
Are you gonna see A Quiet Place, the box office winner directed by John Krasinski, starring him and Emily Blunt?
Man, I'll see it in my home when it comes out because paying movies to go be scared, or paying money to go be scared. Well, I guess using Movie Pass to go be scared at this point. I don't know if that's so intriguing to me.
Yeah, no, I'm not a horror guy, so I'm not gonna watch it. But it was the third highest grossing opening weekend for a horror movie ever, with over 50 million behind just the third Paranormal Activity and It. So
I'm pretty sure it's still like a 98 on Rotten Tomatoes too.
Yeah, it's doing really well. I saw Chappaquiddick this weekend.
97.
The Ted Kennedy movie. Jason Clarke was fantastic. I definitely recommend it. Ed Helms is actually pretty good in it as well.
Ed Helms, damn.
Yeah, in a serious role. You don't expect it.
No.
And then
Who did he play?
He plays, what's his name? Gargan? He's like the family friend. He was like the cousin.
Gotcha.
But Clark was great. And I also saw Blockers, which is actually a really enjoyable studio comedy that is more earnest and actually has some things to say. You know?
Interesting.
Good on them. John Cena was fucking funny too.
Yeah, so I finally saw it. You know, we mentioned Tiffany Haddish earlier. I finally saw Girls Trip this weekend, and it was good. I mean, I wasn't blown away by it, but Tiffany Haddish just jumps off the screen. My only worry for her. Oh, I also saw Jumanji as well, which was fucking fantastic.
Yes, it is.
It was hilarious. So I'm catching up on movies I wasn't able to see, but
right.
I just hope Tiffany Haddish finds like different speeds, because I feel like she's just gonna become Kevin Hart, where it's
she's in
the same shtick.
Yeah, she's in that Kevin Hart movie coming out soon. I was like, all right, I get you get the check for that, but don't know how much you're benefited by that movie, you know? Speaking of Jumanji, Rampage comes out this Friday.
No interest.
I'm expecting it to be better than Baywatch, but not as good as Jumanji. And then later, The Rock also has later in summer, he has Skyscraper. Like, they're not even thinking that hard with these titles now.
No.
Skyscraper.
Yeah, and he plays the same guy in every single thing at this point. So
I do like watching The Rock, though. I can't hate.
No, the Rock is very entertaining. He's electric. So only good things. Also, I don't have it out in front of me. The Arctic Monkeys announced their album title.
It's in May.
Let me see if I can pull it up here real quick.
It's on our Twitter.
Yes, check out at Nowstalgia Pod, at Sheen World Peace, at Martin Swagger. We're dropping all the knowledge. So yeah, May 11th, Tranquility Base Hotel and it didn't load all the way. Tranquility Base Hotel and Casino. There we go. Which, I mean,
all right.
it can
First
only be
5 years though. It's exciting.
Yeah, very exciting. Them in 30 Seconds to Mars, man. Dropping albums finally. Just what we were waiting for. So yeah. But anyways, we're gonna wrap up there for this week. A lot of stuff to look forward to. Hit us up at Nowstalgia Pod on Twitter, support us on YouTube, iTunes, SoundCloud, wherever else you get us. We love you, we appreciate you. Peace out.